everybody, this is So Many Sequels. I'm Josh.
And I'm David. Why was there no sound, Andrew? What happened? Oh, he whispered. Oh, I see.
Let's talk about some news that's been going on in the movie world lately.
Yes.
A few big things.
Are we gonna talk about my favorite thing first, or do we want to get the more newsy thing out of the way first?
Let's get a couple newsy things out of the way first, so we can end on the fun one.
On the hype.
On the hype. So first off, this, we'll just briefly touch on this because it's a little dated by now, but a lot of people, you've probably seen that the Golden Globes will not air on NBC next year.
That's true. That's true.
That is such a shocker.
Yeah, we don't know if they'll air at all, quite frankly. Probably best that they don't. Yeah. Considering, it'd be wild if another network was like, we'll take it.
I mean, but are they going to present it? Are they going to still give out the awards?
Right. There's a lot of questions up in the air about it that we just don't know the answer to yet, because it all was kind of so sudden in terms of action. I know that, there've been complaints about the Hollywood Foreign Press Association for a long time, but we went from like 0 to 60 super fast in terms of holding them accountable.
Yeah.
So, I initially saw that some A-listers came out. Scarlett Johansson was one of the first ones to say, they have serious problems that need to be addressed. And then it kind of snowballed from there until NBC dropped them completely and said, we're not going to air them next year. We are open to airing them in 2023 if you get your crap together, but next year is a no-go. And then Tom Cruise gives his awards back.
Yeah, wild.
That's crazy.
And I was surprised we didn't see anybody else jump in on that.
Well, yeah, I agree that it's wild that Tom Cruise was the only one. Because, I mean, listen, that man is not problematic. So when you've crossed his line, you might be pretty messed up.
Well, and it's kind of funny to think about, because you think about Tom Cruise, and I don't really think of him as Golden Globe Award winner Tom Cruise. So I was like, Tom Cruise is giving back his Golden Globes, and I was like, Tom Cruise won Golden Globes for what? And it's actually for pretty decent roles,
right?
Pretty different movie. But I was like, oh, I guess Tom Cruise won some Golden Globes. I completely forgot about that.
But it's crazy that he's giving them back. Mm-hmm. And I don't know where I was going to go with that, but the only thing I was going to say was that for Tom Cruise to give those things back, I will say that Tom Cruise is kind of on a streak right now, because whenever they were filming, I guess, Mission Impossible 7, he was one of the first ones to really get angry at the crew for not wearing a mask and following CDC protocols.
That's true.
And now all of a sudden he's joining the protest, which you never hear out of him. So,
and I mean, giving back your Golden Globes, that's a bigger than just, hey, we're not gonna show you next year. That's like, I'm done with you completely. And a lot of these studios are saying they're done completely. Like, they're not gonna submit stuff for Golden Globe consideration unless things change really drastically, and they're not gonna have their casts do press. They're not gonna have their directors talk to anybody affiliated with the Golden Globes or the Hollywood Foreign Press. That's pretty great. That's scorched earth. So
yeah, it is.
Interesting to see how it develops over the next year.
Then I wonder what's going to kickstart the award season next year. Because that usually does.
Yeah, there won't. I mean, I don't really know what comes next after the Globes typically. SAG?
Probably, or the Critics' Choice.
And those are on cable networks, so they're not as big of a deal audience-wise. But, who knows? It's pretty crazy. Who knows if the Globes will recover? I honestly feel like a lot of people probably wouldn't care if they don't. Of the award shows for film and TV, that's the one that kind of gets dunked on the most. It's constantly made fun of. You know, when the few times that Ricky Gervais hosted, basically his whole shtick was telling everyone how stupid it was while he was hosting it. Clearly the stars don't take the awards seriously. Tom Cruise said by giving his awards back, he basically said these mean nothing to me. So maybe they may not come back, and that may be okay, or they may not come back on television. They might just be, you know, award quietly handed out, and no one really cares. There's no fanfare. Could be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I don't know anybody who like the Golden Globes is like the top echelon thing. I don't even think like overseas, you know, it's a foreign press. I don't even think overseas it's like considered that big in any of the other respective country. I'm pretty sure most like British or European actors would rather have a BAFTA than have a Golden Globe.
I agree.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at it. You know, I mean, the Golden Globes is big. I mean, I guess you have like the National Society of Film Critics usually launches off January. Things will get bigger with SAG Awards are usually right after the Golden Globes. The Annie Awards at the beginning of February usually. So I mean, really, it's kind of just a straight shot waiting for the Academy Awards in March. You know, at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, the Razzies will kick off the award season now.
Well, okay, so we start with the worst and work our way up.
That's what they should do. That's the Razzies. The Razzies should vie NBC for this spot.
Why not?
You know,
honestly, I would watch that.
People would watch the Razzies over watching the Golden Globes. I think more people would tune in for a night of having fun and making and laughing at ourselves, laughing at cinema, than they would for the Golden Globes second-rate show.
Well, to touch base on what you said just a second ago, when they say Hollywood foreign press and when they're talking about foreign movies in the foreign market, really not a lot of foreign films are nominated. It's like once in a blue moon that they get nominated for really anything. And it's weird that like when you think of the Hollywood foreign press, like it's a precedent that if you win a Golden Globe, you have to thank them. You know, because they all say the same thing. So they kind of got their foothold on it. But maybe they'll just mail them in.
Well, or if they do them at all, we'll see what happens.
Who knows?
What else we got in the news this week, Josh?
So we've also got some new information from Disney recently about their plans for distribution. You know, they've been experimenting with putting films out on Disney Plus through their new Premier Access program, as well as just on Disney Plus for current subscribers. But they did that with Soul. They're planning to do that with Luca, and Black Widow will be released through the Premier Access. And so will the upcoming Jungle Cruise. But they've said that they're going to commit to this 45-day theater exclusivity window that some of the other studios have done for Shang-Chi, which will, you know, I forget the order now, but I think that's the next Marvel movie after Black Widow. Am I right there?
That's correct. Black Widow in July, and I think I'll have to look up when Shang-Chi.
Yeah. So that'll be the first Marvel film to get back to a theater exclusive time period. But I think generally the main conversation point around this is that it seems like 45 days will be the new normal for movie theaters. I think it used to be, was it 90 before?
It was 90 days, yeah.
It was 90 days before.
I think unless the movie met certain financial expectations, then it dropped down to like 60 or 55 or something like that.
Yeah. So it would be 90 days before you would see a movie pop up on physical disc or on demand somewhere. And now that's going to plummet down all the way to like a month and a half, which is going to be interesting to see how that kind of unfolds.
Yeah, it's gonna
It
be an
makes a
interesting
lot of
wait.
sense in some ways because in most cases, movies have made most of their money by that point. And so it kind of makes sense to get it out faster after that. But I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I can't remember specifically, but I know that there is somebody's deal includes that somebody signed a deal that would say that like movies will have a 2-week release, I think, unless the movie makes more than $50 million opening weekend, and then it goes to 45 days. And I can't remember whose deal that was. It might have been, I think Cinemark was involved with that, but I can't remember. But anyhow, yeah, the movie windows, the window for movies getting smaller. It used to be that, yeah, if a movie did bad, you would see it show up on DVD like 3 months later, and you'd be like, oh, that movie must not have done very well. And I looked this up because I thought it might be the case. I wondered if Blu-ray, like home video sales, were way down because of streaming, and it turns out actually they're not. The home video sales are actually pretty much right where they've always been. So that's an interesting facet that would be interesting to see how it keeps going. But it's kind of it's a long stretch from the days before VHS was as common as it was. Movies would stay in theaters for like a year. They would be in, and some movies would just come back every season. They'd be in for a while. They go out and then just come. Hey, it's summer season again. We'll have out the new movies and a whole bunch of the old movies that are still available. Yeah,
Yep.
Interesting.
And then finally, we'll wrap up this segment with the exciting news. We've been getting like this almost daily drip of new cast members being added to Knives Out 2.
Yes.
Very exciting.
Yes. Knives Out 2 is something I'm very much looking forward to.
Yes. So Knives Out 2, just to remind everyone, was the whole franchise was purchased by Netflix, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So what did was it 2 more movies to make a trilogy?
At least two
more. So,
2 more movies, probably the option is there for more.
The next 2 Knives Out movies will go to Netflix with writer-director Ryan Johnson still in charge of that. And we found out that obviously we know that Daniel Craig will be returning. Mm-hmm. But added to the cast this time will be, first we learned about Dave Bautista.
Yep, the Animal.
I don't know what that means, but okay. I assume that's a wrestling thing.
It is. That was his nickname. He was the Animal Bautista.
Then we learned about Edward Norton.
Mm-hmm. The narrator.
The Hulk. The Hulk everyone forgot about.
Yep. Everyone's favorite.
Then we've got Janelle Monáe.
Yes.
Who is fantastic.
Now you have to help me with this because I think I've heard of Janelle Monáe, but is she mostly known for singing? I don't know very many of her acting performances.
She is a singer.
Yes, she is a singer.
Did she like open the Oscars 2 years ago?
I think I think I know what you're talking about, and she definitely did something.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But she was in Hidden Figures, notably.
Antebellum.
Yes, and Antebellum, which came out, which was a 2020 COVID release that kind of got forgotten about, I think, because that's what happened. And then, most recently, as of recording, we got Catherine Hahn.
It was Agatha all along. That's right, y'all.
Yes, you missed the Catherine Hahn news?
I guess I did.
Yeah, Catherine Hahn is joining the cast.
Well, hot diggity. I
so
love Catherine Hahn.
We've already got a stellar cast so far, and if it's gonna be the same size as the first movie, we still got a few more people to come our way.
I know, and then there's the thing. I'm just sitting over here quietly manifesting Timothy Oliphant into this movie. That's all I'm doing. Okay, you've already nailed like 4 of David's favorite people right now. So like, just give me Timothy Oliphant. Maybe I'll get my wires crossed. I'll get Walton Goggins in there. I'll take that too.
Oh my
God! Give me the movie that I want to see. It's already so great. I loved the first Knives Out. We talked about it, in 2019 when we did our best of 2019. It was still one of my favorite movies of that year.
Yeah, so good.
Can't wait. it might be 2024 before we get to do it, but I can't wait to sit down.
Who knows?
And talk about all three of these movies when they happen. As a part of the show, it'll be great. Or we'll talk about Knives Out too, I'm sure, when it comes out. But what are you guys thinking? You guys excited?
So excited. I was already excited, and now that I see who's in it, and I'm even more excited. It's going to be another whodunit,
mm-hmm.
and without knowing anything, any of these new people could have done it. Yes. They all fit the bill of someone who'd have done it.
Yeah.
So I think it sounds.
I really want the characters. I really want the actors to get the chance to disappear into these characters, like I feel like that first cast did, because so much of the cast just is not necessarily playing to the type that you, I think, expect for them to play. And I really want, I want to see Batista looking like the least like Batista he's ever looked. That's what I'm kind of hoping for, or the most Batista he's ever looked. But I think we're getting that in Army of Darkness.
I'm already going to say that Edward Norton can be both, an innocent person and a guilty person, because he's played more than one character before in a single movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I'm hoping that Ed Norton is like, I'm hoping he's like an old stoner uncle who's like a member of, he's just hanging around. That's what I'm hoping.
And he just needs money from time to time.
Yeah, he's just coming in and he didn't know what was going on. Anyway, all right, super excited about that.
So that's that, and we will move on to our review next. How fun is this?
Wow!
Welcome to the show. This is where we tell you about the movies we've watched.
That's right.
And other related things. And we're just here to have a good time.
Yes.
Because we're all here for a good time, I think.
That's right. We're going to try to have some fun today talking about a very fun movie.
Today is going to be fun. We're talking about an animated movie. Now, have we talked about an animated movie yet this season?
Raya and the Last Dragon.
That's true. Although that movie was great, and you can go listen to our review, but this one is different.
Very different.
Today we're talking about The Mitchells versus the Machines, which is a Netflix film from Sony Pictures Animation. They have some kind of deal with them, I guess, now. This movie was produced by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, the creative minds behind
so much.
A lot of great things, notably the Lego Movie. The team behind Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse did this movie. So very, very A-list, high-level animation people. This movie stars a great voice cast, as many of them do. Now, I'm gonna just go ahead and throw out my spoiler warning here. This is a pretty fresh movie, so we'll probably spoil it for you if you listen too much, but we'll try to keep it on the down low, I guess. I don't know. I'm like playing through it in my head. I'm trying
It's possible we could get deep into spoilers. It's possible we could not. We don't really know yet.
Yeah,
I think that's a fair spoiler. We could get deep. We could stay relatively cautious.
I'll just give a blanket warning there.
Discussion will dictate.
This movie stars Abby Jacobson, Danny McBride, Maya Rudolph. I was trying to just name the Mitchells. Hang on. Yes, Mike Rianda. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's also the director. And then a great cast of supporting actors, from Olivia Colman to Eric Andre, Chrissy Teigen and John Legend, Beck Bennett and Fred Armisen, and a lot of even better cameos after that. I'll leave some cameos for a surprise. How about that?
Yeah.
So The Mitchells versus the Machines is about a simple American family who are just so happen to be living during the onset of a robot apocalypse.
The normal road trip. The huge.
Yeah, it's a family movie. It's a road trip movie. It's a coming of age tale, and it is a dystopian technological nightmare. So we'll start. Let's get Andrew's thoughts first. He told us that he actually like just finished the movie prior to this, so his take should be the freshest of the bunch. Andrew, what did you think?
Okay, so I really, really wanted to like this film, and watching it, like as I was going through it, and it plays on the let's see how to describe this. It builds on the to hell with it. I friggin' love this movie. This movie was great. I absolutely loved it. It was so good. No, it really was. I got a great time out of this. It was funny from the beginning all the way to the end. It was touching. It rivals Pixar. Pixar. And it's the voice cast is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And it was just all around fun and also kind of adorable. I love the dog.
Agreed.
Man,
You psyched us out on that one. I really have it going.
Yeah.
I did too for a minute. Because I was trying to think of ways you might not, or reasons you might not like it, and I could come up with a few in my head on the spot, but I still disagreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'm ready to refute whatever he's gonna say here, but it's gonna be fun. It is one of those movies that, like, I could understand people being like, I didn't expect to like this movie. I could see people going like, I have no idea. It looks like, maybe superficially it looks generic from the outside, but on the inside, there's so much cool stuff going on there.
Like Netflix just has, like, I will say in the beginning years of their original content, when it comes to original movies, they were very rough. Mm-hmm. And now I think they are actually coming into their own game. And
well, let's not give Netflix too much credit here.
Well, I mean,
this is a Sony Pictures movie.
That's true. Okay, but but what I'm saying here is that, like, they're getting better at it.
Maybe they're spending their money better.
Yeah,
distribution.
Yeah, they've definitely had a good eye for good movies.
They're getting better at it.
This movie actually had a pretty unique. I was reading a pretty unique element in that perhaps this is sort of suggests here, for the first time in history, an animated animal was voiced by an actual version of the animal. That Doug the pug was the voice of what was the name of the dog in this movie? Manchi. And it's the first time that an actual dog has played a dog in an animated film. Usually they just get well-known voice actor Frank Welker, who's literally been in every animal you've ever heard on film. And I'm not joking when I say that, like since 1979 or something, he's every animal you've ever heard on film. And so this is kind of a unique, real dog barks, real dog noises that you get from internet famous Doug the pug. I guess I probably saw this the second most recently. I loved it. This movie has such a fun energy. As the kids would say, it has a great vibe. I love, you can see how one of the producers said that this movie was influenced by Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And you can see that in the little overlays that they have. Like the movie has a lot of like hand-drawn doodle appearances will like show up on screen. It's very like, it's kind of reminiscent of Into the Spider-Verse with like the comic book sound effects coming off, or like the text appearing. It's like Scott Pilgrim in that way, which we reviewed recently. It's like it reminded me of the video game Sunset Overdrive on Xbox. It has a lot of those kind of elements, and the soundtrack here was like that too. So the characters are engaging. They're actually relatable, I think, in a way, because a lot of times in these kind of in a lot of movies like these, the parents are usually coming from like a really strict, unrelatable mindset that like the kid needs to change them on. And this was kind of a really nice scenario where both characters really needed to change each other a little bit and come and see from the other one's point of view a little bit. And I really appreciated that. It's hilarious. It's loaded with comedians. Conan O'Brien has a really funny cameo. So that was a ton of fun. Yeah, and I really liked it. It looked gorgeous. You know, Sony Animation every few years has awesome hits. They're probably the most underrated of the animation studios out there because they just knock. I mean, every now and then they just knock one out of the park like this.
Yeah, this is one that I think I almost am gonna try to compare it to Onward to an extent, in a sense of like, this is a message that you don't really see all the time, and I think it's a father-daughter connected movie, but I also think I connected to it on a really good level because I feel like it also does a good job of showing like middle American families put in a crazy situation, but it really highlights also a communication gap between a parent and their kid. You know, at least my parents look at things a different way than I do, and sometimes it can be hard to. You're both wanting the same thing, but you're communicating it so differently that it comes across as you think there's a difference of opinion when you're both trying to get to the same end result. It's just a different way of looking, and I think that can frustrate a lot of people until you know and understand everybody's looking out for the best of you. They're just trying to do it in a different way. And I think that is a communication gap that a lot of people have with generation to generation. I think it's really highlights to talk to people and just figure out like, what is the deal? Like, what's up? And then you can figure it out. And what I liked about this movie is, while it is an animation and it's a crazy funny situation, it also is just regular people in a crazy situation. Whereas where I want to compare it to Onward is magical situations in a scenario. I think it's really interesting that you can get this message across in an animated form where you can put them in an over-the-top situation in order to really emphasize the message that they're trying to get, where you couldn't necessarily do that in as good of a way with a live movie.
Yeah. I adored the movie. I thought it was just a ton of fun. The voice cast does a really good job of becoming those characters. You know, I think a lot of times in animated films, you can be distracted by the actors. And a lot of times, some of the smaller, I don't want to say smaller, but like, you know, non-Pixar movies, a lot of times will use celebrity to kind of sell their movie. Like, look at all the amazing people in this movie, and then it's not good. I never felt distracted by who the voices were in this movie, like is common in some others. I also thought it really seems like Sony is going with this style of animation as their brand. You know, it's very reminiscent of Into the Spider-Verse. And since it was so successful and kind of, you know, I think the animation Spider-Verse was kind of game-changing in a way for animated films. And it seems like they're sticking with that with this, which I think is smart. It helps set them apart from the other studios. And then the story is really good. You know, we've got that family dynamic that we've talked about already, but it also does a really good job of walking this fine line, talking about the dangers of technology. And it's easy for movies to fall into a trap where you end up just lecturing the audience about social media from this kind of holier than thou standpoint. But the Mitchells versus the Machines also make sure to illustrate how technology is really helpful for people like Katie, who, you know, there's a scene where Rick is like, we need to put our phones away and connect like a family. And Katie holds her phone and is like, this is how I connect. And it's completely foreign to each of them, that how could she connect through that? And how could he connect without it? So it doesn't just lecture you about technology is all bad. It's like, no, there's good in it too. And there needs to be a middle ground there. And we get that when Rick towards the end gets a few hilarious scenes where he is just desperately trying to type YouTube into this browser. And he's like, I have to do it. And he has to do it for his daughter. He's like, I'm gonna be a tech guy. I'm
Yeah.
gonna finally do it. So they make that whole message a lot more fun. And then of course, it also goes on a much deeper level of critiquing, like obviously PAL as a company is a version of Apple.
Mhm.
And how AI is this scary thing that the idea of AI taking over is not new, but directly comparing it to Apple was interesting.
No, but the fun aspect of this, and even there's kind of like a little bit of like an Amazon component there too. But fun here is that the AI being so, like I guess so emotional. Like it's not like it's an all powerful AI, but it's also like completely laden with human emotions of like resentment and anger and distrust. And like these robots, these AI that are chasing them are like completely fallible. Like they're not like perfect robots that like never make mistakes. They like are fooled by simple things, or they can be they can be sort of tricked or reasoned with in fun ways. And that plays out in really fun ways. Like you said, Josh, the voice performances are great in this. They disappear into the roles. Like you said, a lot of times, lesser animated films, I want to call them out, but lesser animated films cast a big name celebrity, and then it was just kind of like, hey, here's that person animated.
Really
like,
fun win.
We're just kind of taking their personality and animating it. And that usually isn't necessarily the best. Those aren't usually the best animated films. This one uses their acting abilities to their strengths. Ton of fun. I particularly really liked all of the weird aesthetics of the robots. I thought like they looked really crisp and clean. I thought that Pal was a fun character, a fun bad guy. I think the climax of the movie where everything comes together, that really like actually, I don't know, there's something about it. This movie works just so well, and it's really kind of hard. It's one of those inarticulate things that I just can't really say why. But
for me, I think it's because
who watches it, I think will love it.
I think for us especially, and I've seen this throughout the other reviews, is that this is like a film nerds, like if you could make a thing to express whatever you feel, this is it. And I think that's why it's so like connectable to us, is we see a lot of ourselves in like Katie, and a little awkward, but like, we're trying our best and we're trying to connect with these people that don't necessarily understand what we're trying to put out and get these messages across. So I think for like a lot of film nerds, there have been a lot of comparisons to that. I also think that it really is just connectable to my family specific. There are two moments in this movie where I just lost it. Throughout the whole movie, I was losing it, laughing, crying, happy, sad, whatever. But the two moments that stand out for me are when every single member of the family had the screwdriver that the dad made everybody carry. Mine is like an inverse of that, where one year, every single member of my family bought my dad a tape measure because he would always lose his and he would always need it. And so we all just would buy him. So it was my mom, my sister,
was this uncoordinated
me,
though?
grandpa, all that. Everyone bought him a tape measure, like a pocket-sized tape measure.
But was this an uncoordinated tape
Nope.
measure purchase? Or
This
did you
was
guys
absolutely coordinated.
Okay.
To everyone get him a tape measure.
It's not I can't remember there's like a comedian who was like, one year 3 different uncoordinated family members bought me the same Judy Blume book.
No,
never understood why that happened. I can't remember whose joke that was. This was
absolutely a coordinated gift. And then the other one was Mom Ninja. Mom Ninja was one of the most connectable moments where, and throughout the whole film, my mom, like I saw bits and pieces of my mom in her, and no more than Mom Ninja. That was just, you touch my kids, that's it, and I'm gonna get you. And it was so unexpectedly funny. And then when she came back around, it was oh my god.
And like she had been through like a decades long war.
There was a pre and a post that moment in life. That's how that worked.
Yeah, I actually I didn't really, it's kind of funny. I didn't necessarily relate, but I did relate to an aspect of the idea of kind of going to college and meeting people that already have the same interests as you, and kind of looking forward to that. I remember when I went to school, I really enjoyed acting and performing, and I was going to RSU, and they had like a theater program, and I'd met the director at the time, and he invited, like he said, hey, come on up, we have auditions every year. And I was so excited to meet other people who liked acting, compared to my high school, which was kind of like nobody was really into it at the time. Some people, and the other ones that did, I didn't really like. So, but I can relate to that idea of being like excited to meet like-minded people. And it's such a fun experience when you get that chance. But I also get where her dad's coming from of like, hey, don't build this up in your head to be a certain way, because life doesn't always work out the way you want. Things happen, things change. So I was really nervous that she was going to go to school and like nobody was going to like her, or nobody's going to like her stuff, and she was going to get this rude awakening. But luckily that didn't happen.
Well, and I think that goes to the communication gap that I mentioned, where a lot of kids feel like, I don't know, they feel like their parents are trying to hold them back sometimes, when they just want the best for you. And there's that communication gap of like, I know that you're in my corner, but you got to let me go out and do this thing and see what happens. Like, I know I'm protected and safe here, but let me go try this thing, because you have done such a good job of letting me know that I am protected and safe here, that I want to be able to try these things and just see if it works. And if it doesn't, then I'm perfectly safe to come back here. But it's a fear thing of a parent letting go, and a desire of a kid to go out into the world and just try something, even though they may not necessarily know everything. And it's just two different thoughts, even though the collective goal is the overall success of this person.
Totally. And we talked about the animation. I kind of felt like there's a lot of elements from Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. I actually thought there was a lot of things that matched up from the Cloudy with a Chance movies that that Lord and Miller also worked on. A lot of like the way that they move, the kind of the art, the body proportions of characters. Very funny. I really kind of hope that they do more like this. I hope this isn't the only one. This isn't like a couple movies they do. I kind of really love this style that they've got going on at Sony Animation.
Yeah, I beyond that, I'm gonna need a lot more of just the Mitchells movies.
Oh yeah,
I need the Mitchells versus everything.
Manchi shorts.
Oh, Manchi shorts. Look, I think Manchi was my favorite character.
Star of the show.
Very funny. I laughed out loud at him a lot.
You know the best part about Manchi?
What
is I kept forgetting about him. He would be off frame for like like 2-3 minutes, and then he would just appear again, and I would be like, oh, it was exactly the scenario of the dad of surprising dad with Manchi. I would have that moment where I would forget about Manchi, and then Manchi would just appear, and I was like, oh yeah, the dog, yeah, okay,
yeah. I loved it when he becomes a weapon to be used against the robots, and Katie ties him to the hood, and he's just like
he's
laughing.
He's a paradoxical equation for the robot.
Loaf of bread.
Yeah, I love it. I love that Manchi's appearance is what destroyed the robot resistance. So good.
I don't want to spoil too much of the movie too, but we got to talk about it here. This is the only chance we're going to have to talk about it. So spoiler alert, but dadgummit, y'all, that mall scene with the appliances and the Furbies.
Yes.
I did not have any idea what was going on, and I loved it all. I was like, Furbies? They got like real licensed Furbies in this movie. I haven't seen a Furby in like 20 years.
That was 100% every millennial's nightmare, was that their Furby was going to come to life.
Not the geriatric ones, though.
No, not the geriatric ones. I was a little
Not
older.
geriatric millennials.
But no, for real.
No, they
I never had a Furby, but so many people I would hear them say that they just dreamed that their Furby came to life in the middle of the night and just destroyed them.
With good reason. Those things are scary as hell.
They often, I had a Furby. Did everyone have a Furby?
I did not have a Furby.
I'm the only one who had a Furby?
I resisted that trend.
I'm the real
My
millennial.
wife had a Furby.
I had a Tamagotchi, but no
so
Furby.
A couple of us have
Oh,
Furbies.
my parents were like, I ain't buying that.
It would absolutely come awake and talk in my closet at all
No.
hours, day and night.
Nope.
That was the thing.
Hell no.
Don't like that.
World
That's why I never got one, is I didn't trust it.
When the giant one walked out, that was great. And then Katie's reaction of, why would you make that? Is valid.
The conversation, like the dialogue of the Furbies is all
Yes.
like apocalyptic and like the great destroyer, and like he's like, through the darkness I shall once again
Oh
return.
my God. Very Indiana Jones Temple of Doomsian.
Like summon him. It's
And
very-
I thought
very
it was.
sweet.
I thought it was funny enough when a toaster that's got the PAL chip, all these appliances have the PAL chip, when a toaster shows up and it's like, you are toast. I thought that was pretty funny. And all these things, we are going to destroy you. It's like the robot, the old 80s robot voice. And man, it just escalated to such a hilarious point. And then I remember seeing one of the first things I saw about this movie was somebody tweeting, they destroyed a mall for the vibe. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna have to see this movie now.
The Furbies really stole the show in that scene, but I think my favorite, more subtle joke in there was when the Roombas were so excited to be called into battle and then just fell down the escalator.
Hilarious.
It's a great side gag.
And I love the kid too, where he basically takes a Furby after I can't remember the little brother's name, but he's like, I can't stay mad at this guy.
Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron was a really good character too. He was very funny.
Hilarious.
I really enjoyed Armisen and Bennett as the two main robots that we see.
Yeah,
God,
Heather
they're
Bot.
just so funny.
Eric and Deborah Bot.
Deborah Bot. Yeah.
They're just hilarious.
Okay, let's pause here. I did it again. We got a 10-minute warning. I forgot again.
That's okay. Well, hey, we'll wind her down here. I don't know if we're just gushing at this point. We're just gushing.
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
Movie's great. You got to see it. It's on Netflix. If you don't have a Netflix account by now, I'm surprised you're watching this. But check it out on Netflix. It's great. It's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I said, sorry, go ahead.
So I was just repeating, really solid movie. I think we all highly recommend it.
Like I
What fun facts did you have for us?
I have no box office stats. Apparently, the pandemic basically canceled this movie in every release window that it would have it had, both domestically and internationally. Interestingly enough, this movie was going to be released in January of last year under the title Connected, which was changed, and the directors did not really like it. So when it wound its way to Netflix was like, we kind of like that original title you guys had, so they went back to the Mitchells versus the Machines.
That is
But this movie predates the big Sony Netflix deal. Netflix bought the distribution rights for the film for $110 million. So, I mean, the movie was was around a $50 to $100 million movie, so instant profit. Didn't have to worry about that aspect. And I think actually it may have the deal for this movie may have fostered the desire from Sony to change their deal from Stars to Netflix. So, it's partially because of, I guess, the working relationship they established with this particular movie, that we're getting this big deal where Sony films are going to go to Netflix after release for a brief while before appearing in other streamable places.
I mean, that sounds way better, because why would you go to Stars?
I know Stars. I don't know what the
It's very niche right now.
is. But yeah, I'd rather go to Netflix.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I won the Letterbox game this week, so I will look it up.
Okay.
Our letterboxed number. Oh, let me switch.
Oh yeah, wait.
Branding.
Letterbox King back in the building. Let's do this. All right. Mitchell's versus the Machines has been rated. It's been measured. Several people have reviewed it.
Dozens of us.
What is the rating that you think this movie has on Letterboxd, the best fan site in the community? I don't know who to go first. Andrew and Josh are both bringing up the rear in our overall Letterboxd game stats, so it's a coin toss between them two.
I'm gonna go with 3.6.
3.6 from Andrew.
Okay.
Josh?
I think it'll be. I mean, I think it's on the higher side of that. I don't think it's lower than that. So I'm gonna go with a. I'm gonna bump it all the way to a 3.9.
3.9 from Josh. Garrett?
I'm going to go in the opposite direction because I think there might be some cynics. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to go with a 3.2.
3.2 from Garrett. Well, I hate to say that you are all wrong,
Bummer.
but one of you got very close. Our winner this week is Josh.
Hey.
As of right now, this movie stands at I can't agree more, 4.0 on Letterboxd.
Wow. Okay, that's
may
good.
change over time. It may drop to 3.9. I could see that happening, or
Better
it
not.
may bolster up. But a 4.0 on Letterboxd, hard to achieve. Granted, it is a fairly new movie. So we'll see. To read a few of the top reviews, Nicole says, most relatable character in fiction, a gay, pretentious film bitch who hates their dad. James said, why is Sony Animation so good at making movies now? And then
that's a great review.
That first one. It's hard to beat. This last one, this Sabas called it the Black Panther for people who have Letterboxd accounts.
Yeah.
Wow, Letterboxd coming in hot with the funny reviews.
Yes, hilarious reviews. You could almost expect it for a movie that does kind of has kind of a soft spot for film and for movies.
Yeah.
That runs throughout this movie.
Yeah.
I was trying to see if any of our So Many Sequels followers had rated it. Not yet, but we'll get there.
But they will after this episode drops, right?
Right.
You guys will go to
Letterboxd,
Letterboxd and create an account if you haven't yet.
Well, what do we rate it, guys? I'll go first and give it. I've got to do it again. I've got to give it another 5 stars. This has been a good year. A lot of these are holdovers from last year, obviously, but this has been a good year for movies so far.
Yep, I'm gonna second that with another 5. I cannot find a fault in it.
Oh no.
Oh.
Okay, I froze.
Hey, I think we're back now.
I froze for a bit there. What? I gave it a 5 stars.
Yeah, we lost Josh.
Oh, we lost me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was gonna second that with another 5 because even if I try, I cannot come up with any real faults in this movie.
Same 5 starsies from me. A bunch of good movies that we've been reviewing lately. I mean, I think we all kind of had a downer of a start. That's what was coming out, but man, it has turned in this second quarter.
Yeah.
Andrew, what you got?
Well, I was going to give this a 4.5, but
we talked you up.
Granted, I just now did it, or I just now watched it. So there's really no reason why I should give this any less than a 5. So
yes,
peer pressure works.
It's a 5-star movie. It's very funny.
We
fun.
are doling out the 5 stars this year.
We really are.
Well, we're starved for good movies.
Hey, and a lot of carryover movies. This was a 2020 release. A lot of 2020 movies are coming out now here at the first part of the year. So, 2021 is getting all the best of 2020 that we didn't get.
Yeah. Very exciting. All right. Well, that wraps us up for this week. Be sure you subscribe to us on whatever your favorite platform to enjoy this show is on. Subscribe to our YouTube channel or the podcast on your favorite podcasting app. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many others. And then, of course, follow us on social media and let us know what you thought about the Mitchells versus the Machines. You can DM us on Instagram. You can message us on Facebook. You can tweet us on Twitter. You can tick us on TikTok. Or you could leave a review for yourself on.
And then follow us on Letterboxd.
Boom. Yeah, we'll be back next time with another movie review here on So Many Sequels. Bye.